My name is Polina Cosgrave. I'm here in County Wicklow. I'm a Russian-born poet based in Ireland. I moved here 4 years ago because Ireland is a land of literature. It's a land of poetry. And now I know that this name is well earned. The main things that happened to me in here, or in which I actively took part, are writing of the book, and also I gave birth to a beautiful Irish baby. So I'm gonna read some poems from the forthcoming collection. This poem is called Does Alien Have a Heart? I'm a big fan of the movie, and also I think there is a kind of connection between being an immigrant, especially being an illegal immigrant, and what was going on in the movie. I just took the similarities and tried to create something. The homeless folk of outer space, we want to hug your troubled face, and yet you hold us in disdain. You'd like to have us back in chains. You would oblige us if you could embrace the price of motherhood and be of use to our commune, residing on this exomoon. Obedient to the laws of high, we know well how to live our life. Meanwhile, they're nothing but a con, those moral grounds you're standing on. Our acid blood and primal scream are pieces of your broken dream. We're gorgeous things, beyond repair, like Giger falling down the stairs. For those who don't know, H.R. Giger was a Swiss painter, and he's best known for his design work on the film Alien. And he died, unfortunately, after having suffered injuries in a fall on stairs. This poem is called My People. I was born in Volgograd. The former name of the town is Stalingrad, and one of the most bloodiest battles in the history of humanity happened there. So the whole town was demolished and rebuilt again. And everything there somehow connected to war. So if you're walking down the street, there'll be monuments of tanks or soldiers. Because I lived there for 20 years, it didn't stand out to me. I was like a fish in the water. But then I looked around the world and I understood that this is so much different from everywhere else. And sometimes our patriotism is being just a bit too much for emotional state, I'd say. My people love to eat the black apples of victory. They fall from tall, bony trees like bombs in the night, live in cracks in the yellow soil. They lie around these juicy mines. That's when my people crawl on their bellies to gather them into their helmets, filled with blood, ashes, and gunpowder. Black apples explode in our mouths like fireworks on Victory Day, tearing our intestines to shreds. So we march with pride for our city, our war, our dead. My people dig up another 100 unknown soldiers. We will never run out of them. As long as we have our apple trees planted by the victors, we will dig to find the inflamed roots. Each time I eat a black apple, I smile like I still have a head. This poem is called Good Omens. There is a very interesting stereotype. The Russian people are very superstitious. And indeed we are. But that sometimes can be very charming. My granny once told me, a whirlwind of leaves and golden dust in the early autumn is nothing less than the devil's wedding. My granny also mentioned that if you manage to throw a knife in the very heart of this whirlpool, you will see the devil's black blood dripping on the ground. So when I see somebody standing in the middle of the street with a knife covered in black blood, and it's late September, I know for sure our grandmothers went to the same school. This poem is called I Told You With My Body. There are some things that are really beyond language, and I think this is about those things. Probably the only romantic kind of text that I've written. You already know I told you with my body. I want to fight you in every way I can, question everything you are, from your eye color to the language you speak. I want myself to drink from your speech, erase the words you write, and explain that there is no such thing as a personality. You are as much as an entity that feels like fire and a home at the same time. But if I'm burning, how will I save my place from the flames? But you already know I told you with my body. You are new to me in the way you wear your lips, in the way you wear my lips. Could you be real in the story of me, like death, like drowning, like a barfly, like a lover, like a listener, like a passerby, like a foreigner, like a memory imprinted between my thighs? I want to learn who you are, and after you change your skin, I'll be there to relearn it. Then you can question everything I am. How far will I go to get what I desire? But we already know I said that with my body I would trade my 1,000 jobs and all the men I kept in my bed and all the women who kept me wondering what I'm made of for watching the river flow as you are breathing next to my shoulder. Can I be real in the story of you? Would I be more significant if I disappeared from web pages, immigration offices, people's minds? Nobody matters, however. If you were all I knew about human beings, it would be enough. I think I've already told you this with my body. This poem is dedicated to my little girl, and I wrote it when I was pregnant. It's called First Poem. She's talking to me from the womb, this girl. She's reading in her native language, language of darkness and warmth. She uses her own alphabet, watery symbols, bubbles of light, to create her first poem. I feel her jab, jab, cross, hook, uppercut, kick, kick, kick in the uterus, sending signals to the organs. I hear her message vibrating in the bones. In English it means, wait till you see me. Wait till you hear me. I bet you've never met anyone like me. This poem is called My Name Is, and it's pretty much a biography. It's a thing that connects my family tree to me while I'm here very far away from them. My name is the name of an old man whose head was torn off by a bomb and whose body was left on the frozen soil of Stalingrad. The name of his wife, whose body slowly melted in times of hunger and cold. The name of their daughter, who carried her wounded child through the burning streets. The name of her husband, who was imprisoned by the country he fought for. The name of their little girl, who survived the war and named me. The name of a little boy that came to rebuild the ruins of the city with one piece of bread in his pocket, which was stolen by a dog. The name of their son, who once bought me a bullfinch in a cage so I could set the bird free. The name of his great-grandfather, who escaped from Nazi camp and got into a Soviet one as a punishment for cooperation with the enemy. The names of 4 Armenian siblings who lost their parents to typhus and moved to the devastated Russia to establish a new generation. The name of their father, who had his name engraved on a Nagant revolver. The name of his wife, Saranush, which means love, the only name that should be given to a woman. The name of her great-granddaughter, who is the only reason I'm still here. The name of her younger brother, who's been tortured in the pre-trial detention for 6 months, and the name of what's left of him afterwards. The name of his cousin, who's been beaten in the army for 6 hours, and the name of what's left of him afterwards. The name of my cousin whose heart stopped on New Year's Eve. The name of my grandfather whose heart stopped when I touched the Western Wall. The name of his niece whose cancer was as blistering as her passion for life. The name of her nephew who got a bullet in his head because he was Azerbaijani. The name of my friend who never woke up after her 19th birthday. The name of my friend who never woke up after her boyfriend threw her out of the window on the International Women's Day. The name of my friend who never woke up after taking a pill. The name of my lover whose mind is murdered with drugs and depression, who goes into a war against his own madness each time he wakes up. The name of the unknown soldier on whose bones my hometown is built. I am so full of names. My name is a verb. My name is to awake. My name is to destroy. My name is Tavatanam. I would take away your pain. Say it like it's yours. This poem is called Self-Portrait. I think personality is very much fragmented these days. So I thought if I was drawing myself, you know, I would do something like that with words. I'm almost young and comparably civil for someone who nurtures her inner cynic. I have a soft spot for Charles Simic, Nintendo, and soda bread. I'm somewhat Russian and kind of solid for someone who never knows when to call it. I once loved a redhead. I wrote her sonnets. But now the romance is dead. She wished I had stayed in the capital city, took care of her kitty who's bold and unpretty. She said I was deadly at cooking and tweeting. My words and my soup turned sour. I wished she had moved with me to the ocean, but she couldn't swim, and I hadn't notion. We blew our life jackets out of proportion and labeled each other as cowards. It's crazy how even the Arctic winter seems warmer than feelings, which soon will wither. I could live without her, but hardly with her. It's not the winning that counts. I'm lucky, the sun in my garden is blazing. I planted my saplings, and I will raise them, with leaves full of poison, and sharp as razors, with crowns that should pierce the clouds. This little poem is called Starship, and I wrote it just before I came to Ireland. I didn't know at that point if I was gonna stay here or whatever my life would be in the future. But that was like the general attitude. Starship. The blackest of holes, the hottest of suns, the craziest captain alive. Surrender to none, be gentle to some. Stay tough as the skies collide. The milkiest way is over my head. They're chasing me mile after mile. This starship is mine. Try and catch me, I said. This marvelous starship is mine. This poem is called And That One Time, and it's very nostalgic. For me, it's a tiny dot that connects the past and the future. When my dad finally came home after a long trip and I was afraid I wouldn't recognize him. When I saw my school sweetheart for the first time. When I knew I saw my school sweetheart for the very last time. When my black cat passed away. When I tasted cloudberry jam. When they had to bury my friend before sunset due to the Muslim tradition and I couldn't stop staring at her young face. When my colleague gave me a call in the middle of the night to say she was going to have a baby. When I heard the carefree tune while waiting to sign my divorce papers. When I got out of the house during a storm and accidentally met myself. When I witnessed cherry blossom in the library garden in January. And the city lights from above. This poem is called Dog I Can't Keep, and it's about the conflict that happens when you have to choose between two languages. Which one to use, which one to write in, which one to think in. First language is a dog I can't keep anymore, barking in the back of my mind. Stay, I command, but it goes wherever it pleases, reminding me who is the real owner here. Its growling, it's so powerful that all other sounds get lost in it. Your bites leave no scars anymore, I say. I'll find you a new home, I say. It grins. First find yourself one. Its jaws are closing around my neck. This poem is called Tattoo, and it's about the permanence of the memories and of national identity. Homeland is tattooed on my skin, and the picture is changing in real time. Here is my school friend's fresh grave. Here is yesterday's theater student in a prison transport vehicle. Here are the ashes of Siberian forests. Here are the history books being rewritten. Here is the apple tree in my parents' garden, blossoming just like any other year. And it's my favorite part of the tattoo. One day I'll have the rest of it removed. This poem is called Your Hands, and it's dedicated to my grandfather, who was one of the people rebuilding my hometown after war. Your hands built and built and built. They've built memorials, hotels and universities. They've built a city for me to live in, a house for us to love and a kitchen to laugh in, a table to sit at. They've made rings for my little fingers. They've made toys for my little hands. They've made flutes for my little lips. You told tales, tales of before war, tales of after war, never about. And when you told tales, your hands were building them up for me in the air so that I could see, and I still do. You would make a gesture of sticking a branch of a tree in a rich black soil of the place you came from. Just like that, and it will blossom, you'd say. That's how good the land is to us. But the land of where you ended up wasn't so good, so your hands dug and dug and dug the dull soil of the prairie. And they planted and planted and planted, until they've made a garden full of berries and apples, a dozen kind of apples, so many different apples I have to give names to the trees they grew on. Your hands planted and planted, till they made a special garden for me, till they made gardens for each of us. Those hands, where did you get them? Your father survived the concentration camp because he was a handy man. Did you get them from your father? When I held your hand, was I holding his as well? All the trees you've planted grow through me. Their roots kept standing when all I could do was crawl. All the bricks you've laid kept me safe in whatever debris I found myself in. I'm looking at my face in the mirror, trying to trace your features. I'm looking at my hands in the hope that they will do half as good as yours. This poem is called Say Yes, and it's pretty much describing my relationship with Ireland at the moment. I love you in the mornings as sunlight passes through clouds, making them shine from the inside. I want to marry the lemon color of your sky. You're full of gold, Ireland. Say yes. I love you when you're sad and grumpy and I can hear the rain playing war drums on the roof and the wind is about to knock down the walls. You're full of power, Ireland. Say yes. I love you when you're cold as stone, when you teach me how to warm the room with my voice. I love you when you sparkle with laughter, when you remind me that seriousness kills poetry. Nobody ever talked to me the way you do, Ireland. I love what you did to the English language, for in your mouth it is the language of humor and seduction. I know you've been through a lot, and I have come to tell you you're beautiful. and the best is yet to come. I promise to be true to you in good times and in bad. You are my perfect mirror that shows I can be so much more. You're full of life, Ireland. Say yes.